Elizabeth, how you doing? Lisa, hello. Gary, yeah, stock market was down big today. May be the beginning of the end. James, how you doing? Kevin, Dorothy, hello. No problem, Dorothy. Watch when you can. Give it a couple more seconds here, guys. We'll get started. um, we'll talk about that, Lisa. Rita, how you doing? Cheryl, hello. Rebecca, how you doing? Okay, let's let's go ahead and get started. Swampwatch, 12/2/19. Stock market down 268 points. Uh, and I literally I don't understand how this thing is still going, but I think we're almost to the end. It's being bubblegum and baling wire. This worldwide, like the dead man walking. Uh, Indicators all over the world are dismal. Um, and and we're printing money like crazy here with the QE that's not QE, with the repo program with the Fed. It's so bad. It's bad for two reasons. It's bad because there's no liquidity. James. Anyway, let me finish this thought. Liquidity is a huge problem. The banks, there's not enough money. I mean, these guys are broke. Um, and then the collateral they're putting up on these loans is garbage. They don't want to take it from each other because they know it's all worthless. They've been buying this junk up to keep the markets propped up, and they know it's not worth anything, and they know that the whole thing's coming down. So they don't want to be. It's like the musical chairs, right? You don't want to be the guy without a chair. Well, they don't want to be the guy without a cash in their bank. It's scrambling. It's not good. Um, and then you got all of the tariff wars going. Now we got it going with France. President Trump's threatening 100% tariffs on France. And if they don't adjust their digital taxing against U.S. companies, it's what they do. It's been going on for years, where they've been, all these other countries were basically given a green light to steal us blind. You know, whatever tariffs you want to throw on us, you know, we're going to take it. So James is talking about the live chat. Well, you guys know last night that we got cut off at the end, and so I did a part 2. So there should be 2. One's listed as part 2, the second, whatever it is, 5 or 10 minutes. But both of them should be up. Anyway, I'll double check that. They have been obviously messing with us quite a bit, as well as all the conservative content providers. Okay, where am I here? Oh yeah, and of course today, stocks, bonds, the dollar, all were down, and it's because the trade tensions and all the negative indicators that are coming out. So we are at the end here, guys. We've got the rumor about the 5th. We know that the FISA's coming out on the 9th. The testimony's on the 11th. They can't release the FISA with what it says. And here's the other thing. So the conservative, the legitimate conservative reporters, like Solomon, people like, as well as many on YouTube, most of the conservative channels that are, that are on this, are all having a hard time figuring out what's going on. It doesn't make sense when you look at none of it makes sense. The economy doesn't make sense. What's going on, like with the Democrats, we know that most people are asleep anyway, right? People are looking at what's going on, and it doesn't make any sense to them, because they see the Democrats keep doubling down on ignorance. And what I don't think, obviously, what people don't understand, because they don't see the whole picture. They don't know what's on the other side of this thing. What they see is, what it is the globalists versus the patriots. That's not how they see it, but that's the reality of it. And I think they believe that it's um, an even playing field, which it obviously isn't for a lot of reasons both ways. Um, Obviously, the liberals, the Democrats, the globalists have the mainstream media in their back pocket. I mean, the deep state runs the mainstream media. So they've got that, the power of that voice. Um, what they don't see is what's coming. What they don't understand is that the reason that the Democrats, the globalists, have been going so batshit crazy is because they understand it's desperation. For them, it's they're desperate. They're at the end. They know, they see what we've been talking about. They see the FISA's about ready to come out. You know, the economy's getting worse. If they don't get rid of President Trump one way or another, they're going down. Well, the people that are asleep don't see any of this. So it's hard to connect the dots. Um, you know, it's the same thing with the economy. For people who are more educated and knowledgeable, it doesn't make sense because, you know, you hear about how great the economy is. Look at all the indicators, and they're horrible. Yet everybody's talking, well, had been up until recently, the last couple of weeks. Everybody's saying how great the economy is. You know, record stock market's broken every day. Unemployment the lowest been in 50 years. On and on and on and on and on. All fake. All fudged. But it doesn't. When you look at you look at the playing field, it doesn't fit. You know, economy's great, but it's falling apart. You know, it doesn't jive, and it's the same thing when you look at the political landscape. That, you know, you've got the Democrats trying to convince the world that President Trump is going to be impeached, but they haven't and can't present any evidence that shows why. And what all of this is doing is it's causing people to start asking questions and to start I think they want to pay attention to as far as, you know, their information, reevaluate what the Democrats are doing. Why are they acting so irrationally? I mean, just think of this phone call. The transcript's been released. This is, for anybody with an IQ over 50, this is, there's nothing here. And if you didn't think that 2 weeks ago, you damn sure think it now if you've, like I said, if you got the IQ of a first grader. You can see, wait a minute, you're screaming and yelling about impeachment, but you haven't, there's not one, not only is there not one shred of evidence of any wrongdoing, um, it's they've got nothing at all. There's not even a chance that, I mean, what would you bring to court? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then the most important thing, even if President Trump did exactly what the Democrats are accusing him of, it's not illegal. You can't impeach him for something that's part of his job. You know, they keep going to the quid pro quo. Listen, guys, that's how the treaty with the Ukraine was set up. You're going to get the money, but you, and this was President Clinton that signed this treaty with the Ukraine. You're not getting your money unless you can show us that it's not being funneled back in to all the corruption that everybody's so worried about, that the Ukraine is so well known for. Supposed to be one of the most corrupt places on earth. That's why the treaty was, and hell, the treaty is, I think it was in the 90s. I just, you gotta, if you're just, you know, mom and pop sitting at home, you gotta be scratching your head wondering what's the point of all this? Because, you know, if you're my age and you're asleep, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, why are you doing this? You know, we understand maybe you don't like President Trump, but you got to have something to impeach the man. If you're going to bring charges, there's got to be some crime. You can't just impeach him because you don't like him. It's not going well for them, and the support is the support is crashing for the Democratic Party. The people are leaving in droves. Yeah, they just can't. You know, you sit at home and you think, why are they going down this road? It's embarrassing. Amazing stuff. Oh yeah, and then we got President Trump basically letting everybody know that if he doesn't have a deal with China by the 15th, that the tariffs are going to start going up. He's working guys, playing them like a fiddle. They have no clue how to handle him, and up to this point, I think they thought that we need them. You know, listen, we do not need China. China, we could never buy another item from China, and we will get through this fine. China needs us way more than we need them. We can, everything, the most important factor, especially right now in the worldwide economy, is consumers. And we've got the world champion consumers in the United States. That's why we're so valuable to China, really, to anybody who's producing anything that they want to sell. The EU, it's the cars mostly. Um, they need us. They never had to worry about retaliation in the past from our government because they were all in it together. They were all globalists working together to bring us down from the inside. Um, and it's not going too well for them. They were close, but, you know, God and President Trump had a different agenda. So POTUS has been cleared now by the House Republicans, cleared President Trump of any wrongdoing with a call. I think the FBI this morning, or maybe the end of last week, they cleared him. There's nothing here. It's now. It's just how do they? What I think what they're looking for now is a way to try and save face. They can't take it to a vote, the impeachment, because then it really backfires on them. Because then it's going to go to trial, and then they'll get to call everybody. This whistleblower would have to testify, and they can't afford to have that. And now you're seeing, like, Lisa Page, there's an article out, a puff piece, softball. Again, it's propaganda to try and push back that, there's nothing in the report. They think if they keep telling people there's nothing in the report, that when stuff comes out, they'll keep telling them nothing's in the report. It's not going to fly because arrests are going to start. And they're not getting arrested because there's nothing in the report. Almost there, guys. Be real interesting to see what happens on the 5th. Yeah, the repo program is going sideways from the Fed. It's out of control. They can't stop it. If nothing else happened, I think what's happening with the repo program by January, by the end of January, if nothing else happened, would blow this whole thing up. We're on the self destruct button for the economy has been turned on. Outside, we're at the, in January, probably, any day. Could be a big week. Just make sure. Okay, let's see what we got for. Okay. I think, we were down 268 today in the stock market. And there was certainly nothing that came out today that was going to make things any better tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out this next week. Oh, Lisa, I'm glad. So Lisa was trying to work with somebody red pilling, and they wanted no part of it. So here's what the problem is, because all of these liberals have had it beat into their heads. Fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news every day. So the best way to attack someone like that is with the AE911truth.org website and have them watch the video on Building 7. All of you new people, if you have not seen this, you need to go to that website. I'll post it again when I get done. The architects and engineers for 911truth.org, AE911truth.org. It's facts. It's black and white. If anyone who watches this with an open mind, it's irrefutable. These were controlled demolitions. The key is not so much, the event itself. It's that once people understand that our government is capable of doing something like murdering 3,000 American citizens for political purposes, to create a false flag, change the nation so that we would be clamoring for war. And then they played it beautifully, led us right around. I mean, look what happened in the Middle East. The 9/11, one of the main reasons for 9/11 was they needed a modern day Pearl Harbor type event that would allow the deep staters, the globalists, to destabilize the Middle East. And just look right down the road. Egypt, Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, Iran's in there, Syria, Libya, destroyed. The whole purpose was to create the Muslim refugee crisis and flood Europe and then bring it to the United States. That was the whole point. And look what's happening in the EU. Look what was happening here with the southern border. And what most people don't realize, there were 30 nations they got coming in across the southern border. A lot of Middle Easterners and Northern Africans coming in. How did they get to Mexico? Look no further than George Soros and one of his organizations, you can bet. And he's the same one who had ships lined up to take people, the refugees, across the Mediterranean. He was dumping them in Greece. The point, though, is 9/11 addresses the issues. People want the facts, right? We want fake news. We want the facts. Well, here it is. These were controlled demolitions. All 3 buildings were controlled demolitions. Most people don't even realize that 3 buildings came down in New York that day. Building 7 was the one that came down in the evening that was never hit by a plane. Just that, that fact alone. There has never in history been a concrete and steel building that has failed because of a fire. Never. The 2 buildings, it was weakened by the planes. Well, Building 7 was never hit by a plane. The fire mysteriously started on the morning of 9/11. I think I don't think they ever even used planes. I think they used rockets. But when the plane went down, they couldn't shoot a rocket at Building 7. And it ruined the whole thing for them. And amazing. I mean, they got it pulled off. But, I mean, just that alone, how does that happen? It doesn't. When you watch the film, the no question about it, controlled demolitions, you can see it, the way the structures come down. And then they're loaded with thermite. The debris was loaded with thermite. Thermite is what they use for controlled demolitions, explosive they use for controlled demolitions. So how did the thermite get there? If it was the planes that brought the buildings down. There's just point after point after point is laid out. You can't argue it. I mean, I guess you can argue anything if you're an idiot, but if not with facts, you can't, because the facts prove these were controlled demolitions. And if they were controlled demolitions, that means it had to be an inside job, because it doesn't jive with what the report was. And then you put everything else together. The missing gold and the 2.3 trillion that I think Rumsfeld announced on the 10th that was missing, and they had an investigation going, and they were going to get to the bottom of it and find out who did it. And the next morning, the office at the Pentagon where this investigation, where the crew was, all the evidence, guess where that rocket hits? So-called plane, but it was a rocket. Hits the very office where they're doing the investigation on this missing 2.3 trillion or whatever it was. You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, no way. And then there's not the most secure, arguably, the most secure building in the world, the Pentagon, gets hit. And there's no video coverage. There's not a film of this plane coming in. Come on, guys. It's ridiculous. Then you go into the Israeli art students. You got to watch it if you haven't seen it. Get back to me if you have any questions. But it's a good one right now to be using to red pill people. Great to watch it with whoever you're trying, if you can, with whoever you're trying to red pill. And you can kind of go through it with them as, you know, if they've got questions and stuff. But it's great ammo for what we need to do here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think we are here, guys. I think the whole thing, the swamp draining, the economy, there are already more and more stuff's coming out on the pedophilia. Every day there's more articles and videos out. Good job, David. Keep sharing. Derivatives. I mean, the whole thing's falling apart. Well, David's saying he's tired of having, President Trump screwed with. It's all coming to an end, guys. And here we go. 95% approval. I think the record was President Reagan had an 87 or an 88% approval rating, and President Trump's 99 or 95%. Amazing. It's going up. Yeah, the economy is done, guys. Yeah, we can't worry about what these companies are deleting as far as our posts and stuff. We just have to keep going. Um, it is what it is. We maybe aren't getting through to as many people, but we're still getting through to some. So we have to keep going. Cheryl's asking about the treaty. Um, which are you? Oh, you're talking about the treaty with Ukraine. Um, well, I've seen several of the news casters um, talk. Well, I shouldn't say that because mostly, honestly, most of the people that have been talking, if you're talking about the Ukraine treaty, most of the people that have been talking about it are YouTubers, the good YouTubers. We shouldn't be surprised that most of the mainstream isn't talking about it, although I think I saw Solomon, somebody on Fox, I saw a clip that they were talking about the treaty. Um, it's out there, but of course, you've got most of the mainstream media is run by the CIA, Project Mockingbird. It's all going to be slanted. And that's why the president does what he does with his tweets and with Q. It's to counteract the power of the mainstream media. Yeah, Paige, she's trying to make herself out to be this, innocent government employee who just got caught in the middle of this thing. Yeah, she's going to jail. Biden, too. Did Kathleen? Um, well, I don't know what you're asking, Kathleen. There was an executive order, 12/21/17. Uh, the executive order states any person or corporation involved in human trafficking can have their assets seized by the government. That's basically in a nutshell, that executive order. President Trump's going to use that to seize all of these assets. Rockefellers, uh, Rothschilds, Peseurs, Soros, Clinton, Obama, all of them are going to have their assets seized. Not one of these criminals is going to get away with this. They're either going to be in prison or executed, and they will all have their assets seized by the government. So Lisa, do you use 9/11? Um, you almost, if you can, it's good to sit down with people and watch it because you can't. It's you know, you can't just tell them about it. You really have to. They've got to see the video. And again, if they don't have an open mind, it doesn't make any difference because it's that cognitive dissonance. Uh, Somebody's saying that planes hit those buildings. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. There were three buildings in the city on 9/11 that went down. Most people don't realize that Building 7 went down in the evening. I know that people think the planes hit the buildings. I saw it with my own eyes. But when you look at the damage, and when you see, I think one in particular where this projectile go all the way through the building and come out the other side, they're saying that the weapons experts are. This is a concrete and steel building. We're talking about a plane made of tin foil, basically. To them, to get they got to be really light. There's no plane is going to make it all the way it's. So the theory is, and with the Pentagon, that was a missile. There's no way a plane could hit that building, and that's why the all the, they didn't want to show it and analyzing it later. There's even glitches with the film from 9/11. If you go back and look at it, they're saying it was CGI. To me, it doesn't make any difference. 9/11 was an inside job, false flag. The deep state, Saudi Arabia, and Israeli Mossad. It's a fact. New York just reopened the investigation based on evidence presented by architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. This is all coming out. President Trump's probably going to, at some point in the probably near future, it's all going to come out. It'll be released. Yeah. Well, we talk about that executive order a lot. You get people to read it. I mean, it doesn't mean anything unless you put the thing together. And if you've got these people who, have their blinders on, they do a lot of good. That's why I like that tape, because if they don't have a difference what you show them, it's not going to have an impact. If they do, or even a hint of it, this is something. The evidence on that tape, a lot of eyes. Thanks, David. Yeah, Kathleen, I think you're going to find that these were all probably rockets. And listen, I watched it. Here's the thing, guys. I'm in construction. We were watching. Of course, we turned on the TV. It was after the first one hit, but of course, right away they're showing you the replay. So we saw it. How many hundreds of times did we see those planes that first day or two flying into the buildings. Well, then the second one came in. Same thing. I saw it with my own eyes fly into the building. The CGI these guys have today can make you think it was a plane flying into the building. What the experts are saying is that it wasn't a plane that flew into the building because a plane couldn't have gone all the way through. When it happened, when the first building collapsed, I looked at my wife and said, oh my God, I can't believe how lucky they were that the thing came down just like a controlled demolition in its tracks. And then when the second one went, I'm scratching my head. This should not have happened. I mean, this is a miracle. Because for two buildings to get hit like that, different places, right? They weren't hit exactly the same spot. And to go down exactly the same way, yeah, it was too big a coincidence, right? Now, of course, I saw it with my own eyes. So I never questioned it again. Not for a couple of years did I ever question 9/11. I saw it with my own eyes. Saw the buildings come down, saw the planes hit them. Wait till you find out the real story. At this point, it's irrelevant whether it was a plane or a rocket. It was an inside job. That's the most important thing. I personally don't even talk to people about the rocket versus plane deal because it's irrelevant. It was a false flag. We were involved. So were the Saudis. So was Israel. Yeah, there's nothing you can fight if they're not going to have an open mind, at least listen to the other side. Their loss. That's all you can do, guys. All we can do is put the evidence in front of people. And then, they've got to do a little bit of the work too, right? And if they don't listen, we move on, right? We go to the next one because there are a lot of people out there that will listen. There's more and more every day. So don't get discouraged. Don't give up. We're almost to the end. We're on the last push here. We got a couple of weeks left, maybe, before this. And again, until we get to the point where the arrests start and it's more out in the open. And then people that we're talking to about this stuff, trust me, will be a lot more receptive to hearing what we have to say. And again, it's getting easier every day, guys. It really is. So hang in there. So let me double check. Had some questions today about Litecoin and Coinbase and the Ledger Nano S. So there's some confusion out there. So Coinbase is an exchange, just like the COMEX. That's where you can go buy silver or buy paper. So last year, I think, at one point, and it's been around this for a long time, but the COMEX, for every ounce of silver, they had 500 contracts. That's what happens with an exchange. They don't have to have all the coins they're selling. The same thing with Coinbase. So, what would happen if, say, Litecoin went to, say, $500? and everybody wants their coins out, it would crash Coinbase if that happened. Just like, if there was a run on the banks, same thing. Because they don't keep 100%. So you do not want to leave your coins in Coinbase. They're more susceptible to a hack. Now, it's a one in probably a billion that somebody could hack Coinbase. Why would you leave your coins in? If you've bought them and you're not trading, put them on your Ledger Nano S. It's the most secure way you'll ever store an asset. Can't be hacked because you're not hooked up, right? It's in your thumb drive, basically, is the thumb drive. It is the most secure way you'll ever store an asset. It's out of the system. Coinbase could go belly up the day after you get your coins out, and you're 100% protected. So don't be confused thinking that they're safer at Coinbase, because they're not. You want your coins out. You do not, just like you don't want to leave your money in the bank, you don't want to leave your coins in Coinbase. I have maybe 15 or 20% of my coins in Coinbase, but I'm using it differently. I'm using it as my bank account. So I've got a little bit more in there. Probably in the next week, I'm going to take at least half of what I have there and get it out, because I think we're getting closer here now. I don't want it at Coinbase when this thing blows up. I don't think that Coinbase is going to go down right away. Like, say the economy crashed this week. I wouldn't think that next week that they're going to be out of business. There would be probably some indicators of some issues, but we don't know 100% for sure. The only way to be 100% safe is to have them on your ledger. That's the way to be 100% safe. Even if you lose your ledger, you've got a seed code, so you can still retrieve your coins as long as you have that code. So, anyway, so get your coins out of Coinbase. Get your ledger. Oh, I just heard it's on sale. I think it's down to like $40. It was $59, I think, and that was down from $99. So it's the cheapest they've ever been. If you don't have one, get it. If you have any questions, message me. When you program your ledger, follow the directions to the T. Don't deviate from the directions. We've had several people have problems, and they're all fixable, but it's a hassle. If you get out of sync and you don't follow the directions right, it's harder to clean up later. So follow them to a T, you'll be fine. You have any questions? I think I'm going to wrap it up there for tonight, guys. This is the last push. Do what you can with your friends. Get your Litecoin. Get your silver. Get your extra food, water, medical supplies, ammo. Don't wait. We're getting to the end here, guys. No excuses. Okay, I'm going to end it here. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. We'll see you tomorrow night at 5. God bless.